got another voice note. So
Okay, thank you, sir. I'm quite happy with your response. I understand what you just stated. The second question that I have, sir, is regarding the 144,000, which I believe maybe they might be people that are going to be saved. But I haven't had like quite a pure interpretation regarding the matter because you get different versions of interpretations which don't make sense. You see, yeah. Hence, I said on the previous, on I think it was episode 37, where I said that the Revelation is a book where it has to reveal things, but you will find out most of things in the Revelation are written in riddles, parables, where you have to, where one has to use their yeah sense of knowledge hidden. There's lots of hidden secrets in that book, so it needs a lot of interpretation. So since I the one who believes most or believe more on OSM, yeah, everything has been proven factual and with truth. So I would like an interpretations, pure interpretation there on the 144,000. Why can you dive deep on that, sir? Can you clarify some things there? Because it's too deep. It's too deep for one to bear, sir. Thank you.
okay, right. So in terms of the Book of Revelations, as the brother is asking, years ago, this is why we always have to show respect upon the Babyanun, the master teacher, Dr. Malachi ZK York. Because when he was breaking down the book of Revelations, word for word, from the beginning to the end, and has published books strictly on the book of Revelation. In fact, I have three of the books, one of the smaller scrolls where he breaks down the book of Revelation, even the ones that were in the big kind of like near A4 size with the blue and the white writing on the book of Revelations. And back then, nobody was touching the book of Revelations because they were scared of it. They referred to it as the Apocrypha, or, the book that of prophecy. But the reality is that in today, almost when he was breaking this down in the 80s and 90s, how many years later on, people are regurgitating the things that he broke down. He was breaking down the mark of the beast and the visa and everything that what the book of Revelation was saying about not being able to buy or sell if you don't have the mark of the beast. He put out books like Leviathan, the Luciferian Conspiracy, the Millennium Book, the year 2000 and what to expect. All of these were explaining the day and time we're living in. So over the many years, a lot of people are regurgitating what he broke down about the book of Revelations. Now, everything that people are looking in the book of Revelations to say it's a prophecy or is to come had already come, and it's just being played out or just like being executed. So it's not that deep anymore because he already explained it and broke it down. Now, when you get to the 144,000, he explained to us that different people will try to explain that and come from their perspective. And a lot of the books that people are reading in the monotheistic religions are either literal, either allegorical, or symbolic, or a combination of the two or three. So when you're reading something, it doesn't necessarily always mean that it's real, as in literally. You can't take it literally because it can be symbolic. And when you look at that 144, as we teach as 9 ether beings, you look at the number 9. You add 1 plus 4 plus 4 is the number 9. And it gives you 9 ether. And it's dealing with the amount of people that were on the craft, because the Nibiru craft, that's how many passengers it manned at the time. But the 9 is symbolic of 9 ether, and it's also symbolic of the characteristics of the people that are the 9 species of the Nagarnadu, or the Negroid, right? That is speaking about a rapture for all those people that will be able to make it and be taken on a craft to receive their barythry gland and be groomed right, to come back as teachers or be given certain special powers or receiving back their higher senses, intuition, telepathy, clairvoyance, and psychometry by way of the reinsertion of the barothry gland. Now, you have other people that also, because you remember there's always two sides, like we say agreeable, disagreeable, or Yah and way, or cherubim and seraphim, agreeable, disagreeable. You see, so there are always a two-sided thing to the same incident or story, because the reason is the phrase, the devil will make evil fair seeming. So there will always be a distortion to confuse people. So you don't know which way to go. And if you're not walking the right path, right, as it's said in Islam, you're not on the Suratul Mustaqim, you're not working on the straight and narrow path, which is known as the way, Pataruk, the way. If you're not on the correct way, then you're going to be set astray, or you're going to be given distorted information. So you do have, right, the Anunnaki, which is separate from the Panatharu or the Natharu or the overseers. The overseers is dealing with the nine ether, dealing with their children that they seeded on this planet. But you also have other beings, right, who seeded beings on the planet known as the Adamites. And this, the seeding of what they were doing is to prepare food for their journey when they leave here. And the journeys are light years, right? So these Pleiadians also are here to pick up and farm and take away food for their journey. And this is also referred to as collecting the 144,000, which took place and is continually taking place, because the movie, The Fourth Kind that I mentioned, was a depiction of an actual incident that took place, and the gaps were filled with actors. It took place in Nome, Alaska, which is dark, 6 months in the year. So during that time, a lot of these abductions were taking place and real incidents took place. And this is where that movie was made from, with real footage. And then the gaps are filled in by actors and actresses. So yes, there is a distortion. Depending on who's talking about the 144,000, you're going to get the actual fact, the real true story of what's happening from beings that have come back from the future, our future, to help and guide us and tell us. Now, they can't really interfere with humanity's development or progression. What they have done is sent guides throughout time to prepare you for this time that we're in the new sun cycle, where we are becoming more aware of our consciousness. And this is called the dimensional shift. It's called the Aquarian age. It's called the sun cycle. It's called the golden cycle. It's called many things, because this is something that was predicted to come, which is after the 24,000 years, or the new renewal, or the new cycle of 24,000 years. And this is what the master teacher has been teaching and preparing us for. And this came in fully in the year 2000 AD. So whether people accept or like it or not, natural nature is evolving and changing, and that is bringing different energies to the planet. Those who are ready have been preparing, have been living what most would call a righteous life, or living right, are gonna be raising their vibration and their consciousness, so this new energy will trigger and spark them off, and they get activated, and then they start to live. And all of this stuff is like, wow, I need to know the truth. I've been under a veil, I've been bamboozled, I've been given wrong information or misinformation, to the point where I don't know who I am, I don't know where I came from, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what to eat, I don't know anything apart from what I've been programmed with. And now those who are waking up are reprogramming their DNA by the things you do. So yes, the 144,000 is those pure souls, those that are real, those that want to put in the work. I said before that some people, they're just like a dip me in water religion, and you're born again and someone else is going to, come and save you and save, someone saving your sins, and now you're going to heaven, which is some fictitious story that you have no way of proving until you start to delve in and go, okay, let's actually dissect this. Let's break this down. Who's coming, why they're coming, where they're coming from, and what are they going to do when they get here? What are they going to look like? Where they're going to take me? And when you go into these stories, you break them to pieces and you just realize it's a fairy tale. The reality or the real story is you have to wake up from the slumber, from the sleep we call the spell of Leviathan, the sixth ether spell, that has you believing in all types of fairy tales without facts, without proof. And when you wake up, it's just so obvious. Just so obvious. You're like, wow, I didn't see that before. Yeah, because you were asleep. You see? Like, you believe that there are entities or beings called gods, Allah, Yahweh, this, that, and they are in the place you call heaven. And then someone comes along and goes, no, you're talking about extraterrestrials. Now, that's like, whoo, what do you mean extraterrestrials? Little green men, aliens? Then you break it down. What is an extraterrestrial? Where are these beings if they're not on Earth? Heaven? Okay, let's go to the Bible and research where it says and talks about heaven. You get names of places. Oranos in Greek, which is Orion. Pleiades, Arcturus. You see, you can find all these quotes. Job 9:9, Amos 5:8. Go to Revelation 21, read the books of Daniel, read the books of Ezekiel. It's all about extraterrestrial beings that have been coming and going for thousands of years. The most predominant story that most people are familiar with is the Anunnaki story, which is dealing with a being called Anu and his family. His two sons, Enlil and Enki. They're called different names in different cultures. Nunamnir, yeah, or Nudimud, right? This is just another name for Enki and Enlil. Yahweh, Baal, these are names that you read in the Bible, but they're talking about Enlil and Enki. And then their family, Erishkigal, Nagal, they were carrying out experiments and doing certain things, creating a Lulu Amilu in the language, which means primitive worker to do the work. They put their DNA and genetics into creating these beings to do the work. You have other types of extraterrestrials that have come from different places later on. Now, mind you, this was before, this was after the original beings to come to this planet and see this planet, the Natharu, which most people don't know about. We as Sabians and the Nuapians are the first one that started to talk about the Natharu. Everybody else is talking about Anunnaki. And the master teacher taught us about the Anunnaki stories way before anybody else was. And he was the one that pointed out, go and read Zachariah Sitchin's books, Genesis Revisited, there were so many books, but he was only doing that to say, look, because you lot think I'm crazy, everything I come and I teach about that you're not familiar with, because you've been bamboozled and under the spell, you think I'm crazy. When he was speaking about Shambhala and Agartha, the cities within the earth, speaking about 3-parent births, talking about risk, a tri-solar system, talking about so many things that at that time nobody was speaking about. But he still gave us references so that we can go and check it out. Because most people, they don't want to accept who he is. Reality, they don't want to accept who he is because of the color of his skin. Because if he was teaching what he's been teaching, the high sciences that we break down, dealing with 9 ether and so forth, and he was, of a different race, he would be received. And this is the reality. So what we're basically saying is there's the right knowledge, the right wisdom, and the right understanding by the most prolific writer, the reincarnation of Tahuti, who they call in Greek Thoth. He's here and he's been teaching, proved it by the works. And you either listen to him or you don't. Either way, this is happening. This transformation is happening. People are feeling it from inside out, and it's working once you put it to work. If you don't think it works, it's not going to work for you. You know, it's down to you. Read, study, apply, and you will see for yourself. It's transformation time, man. It's alignment time. You've got to align yourself to make it. All right, so let's move on to the next question.